Wild like highway, tell all your friends they can go my way. Take your soul, sell your soul. Pound for pound, score world and go. The longer you stay, the more you pay. My white lines go a long way. Either up your nose or through your vein. Nothing to gain except killing your brain. Free! Rock! Free! Rock! Bounce!
Yes, everybody.
my God. But the bad thing about it is, though, like, everybody considers him fat, but if you see the people that walk around where I live, he's not fat. I mean, not compared to some of the people that, there's a store over near where I live, and they're selling size large to 12 XL shirts.
12 XL?
12 XL, and they sell them. So he's not fat compared to some people running around here.
The anorexic John Fisher would fit into an Asylum t-shirt. If Danny Young can get 12 XLs, I tell you what, we'll be flying in your part of the world, Justin.
They would.
My God. Well, good evening, everybody. No better way to start than a bit of John Fisher boshing it up on what evening are we? Thursday evening. Welcome to the final Nutter Calling Show of 2022. Steve Wellings here, back on the mic. I'm nursing a sore throat, but I'm pumped up with PEDs. I'm ready to rumble for one last time before we hit the new year. And whenever you are listening to this, don't forget to hit a like if you like it and a dislike if you're a miserable bastard. The live chat is open. There's nobody in at the moment, but if you are there, make yourself known. The comments below are also open, so you can leave us a comment if you wish. Hopefully your holiday season, as the Americans call it, is going a little bit better than Javonta Davis's anyway. We can ask for little else. Justin is on the call. Good evening, Justin. How are you? How did your Christmas go, sir?
No, I was telling you it went great. I'm off for a whole month for work, and I got $2,000 for not flying, so I'm good.
Things are going well there over in North Carolina. Absolutely. What about yourself, Joe Kennedy? Welcome. How's your Christmas gone?
Yeah, all good. Pretty quiet one, but that's kind of what the doctor ordered this year. So, yeah, enjoyed a bit of R&R and look forward to getting stuck into the new year.
Absolutely. 2023 coming up very shortly. We will be back on January the 8th. Whether we'll be talking about Davis against Hector Luis Garcia remains to be seen. We'll be following that one closely. What we will be doing this evening, though, for as long as we can manage it, is first of all going through the pound-for-pound rankings. I was telling Justin off air here. What I'm going to do is there's quite a few pound-for-pound rankings knocking about at the moment. There's the ESPN one, which I tend to find is a little bit biased. The Ring Magazine have one as well. BoxRec have a kind of a strange algorithm kind of thing going on. So I have gone to the transnational boxing board, not the transgender boxing board. This isn't WBC related. This is the transnational boxing board, pound for pound, top 10. If you are watching this on the video version, you'll be able to see it on the screen right here. I'll give you a rundown in case you listen to the audio version. So we've got Artur Beterbiev coming in at number 10. We have Jermell Charlo coming in at number 9. We have Saul Canelo Alvarez coming in at number 8, Tyson Fury at 7, Juan Francisco Estrada at 6, Dmitry Bivol at 5, Errol Spence Jr. at 4, Terence Crawford at 3, Oleksandr Usyk at 2, and Naoya Inoue at 1. So what we're going to do here, boys, and whoever else wishes to jump on and join us, and if you're in the chat, throw these in as well. We're going to have a look at what these individuals got up to over 2022 and have a look forward to what we can expect from them in 2023. A lot of inactivity amongst these lots. We'll start off with Artur Beterbiev. First of all, we'll go to you, Joe. So it says nationality Canada here. Not allowed to be Russian these days. He's 18-0 with 18 knockouts in the light heavyweight division. Just the one fight for Beterbiev in 2022. It was on the 18th of June in Madison Square Garden, New York. It was an impressive second-round blast out of Joe Smith Jr. He added Joe Smith's WBO light heavyweight title to his unified IBF and WBC titles. So it's a unification here, even though it was only one fight, and he blasted out a generally dangerous and solid champion. What kind of a year did Artur Beterbiev have in your eyes, Joe?
I think a pretty good one. I was actually at the Joe Smith Jr. fight, and he went through him like a bad dose of shits, as you'd say. He, Smith really looked like a cat in the headlights. Once the first jab landed, really, he just almost knew instantly that he wasn't going to be able to kind of withstand the assault. And Beterbiev didn't really have to do much to go through the gears and get him out of there. But I think seeing kind of, I think the path to an undisputed fight kind of opened itself up after Bivol beating Canelo, and I think he'll beat him in the rematch if that has to happen as well. I think they just need to get their mandatories out of the way, or at least Beterbiev does, before they can get that fight. And I think from that perspective, him staying relatively injury-free, he fought Marcus Brown at the end of last year, so it wasn't like he's had a massive amount of inactivity, but it's just at his age, I think that, asking him to fight 3 times a year is probably not realistic. I think he's in his mid-30s now. He's probably, on the last year or a year about of his prime, if even. So I think he's probably just going to be angling himself for his next 3 or 4 fights, which will hopefully be big fights, get the yard fight out of the way, and hopefully get that unification.
Yeah, he's 37 years old, Joe, and like you said, even though he only fought once this year, given the Marcus Brown fight was December 2021, given that Anthony Yarde fight is January 2023, it almost kind of feels like the 3 fights a year. We don't want to overdo him. Like I said, he is quite injury prone. So if he can get Yarde out of there and then hopefully move on to Bivol, that would be the ideal, realistic scenario.
Yeah, I was actually looking at his training methods just leading up to that fight. I was going to just kind of whet the appetite, really. And his coach was talking about how they train all these micro muscles in his hands and in his joints and his elbows, his shoulders, all with the view of like basically trying to keep him injury free and to try and, be able to throw as many shots as hard as he can without injuring himself. So that's kind of, I just thought it was interesting. That was the way his coaches were trying to, basically hone him and mold him as a fighter, was to try and, avoid him getting injured and elongate his career as much as possible. I think they're probably aware of, the limited runway ahead of him at the moment. So, yeah, a fantastic fighter. Definitely I'd have him in my top 10 as well. I'd probably have him a little bit further up. I do take a little bit of issue with this one, Steve. Just I would quickly mention having Tyson Fury in there. I don't know. I think it's up to the debate where you'd have the heavyweights in there, but I'll let it slide. I guess I'd probably have maybe Shakur Stevenson in there if I was to pick one to go in there. So Fury.
Yep, no, absolutely. That is a good call. People often say that the pound for pound was put together to kind of traverse around the heavyweights who are naturally bigger guys, but the boxing board have deemed Fury worthy to jump in at number 7 there. For the record, on the box rec one, which I also have up next to me, Artur Beterbiev sits at number 11 at the moment in the box rec one. Just shout out to a few people in the chat there. Ricky Graville sliding in. Hola, says Ricky, on this Thursday evening. Hello to you as well, Richard. Holly Lewis as well, another nutter. Dr. FMG has jumped in as well. Good morning, all. It's good morning in Australia there for the doctor. And Michael Thompson, Mikey T, music aficionado, has jumped into the chat as well. So shout out to you all. Go ahead, Joe. Yes, go on the lads. And the ladies. And the ladies.
Yes, Holly, of course.
Exactly.
Have to remember.
Woke Asylum. Right, no laugh, not too much laughing for me tonight before I end up in a coughing fit. Justin, talking to Beterbiev.
You sound great, to be honest now.
I don't feel too good, man. Pumped up. I'm on the Conor Ben PEDs tonight, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm just
steroids and all. Yeah, you're that bad.
Exactly. Exactly. A bit of Lemsip for me. Justin, Artur Beterbiev, as we said there, kind of keeping together with sellotape as best as we can. He's an absolute monstrous puncher, but he is quite injury prone. We just need to keep him together, get that Bivol fight out the way, and then he can descend as much as he wants for me.
No, I agree. I agree with everything Joe said. I mean, I think Yarde is going to give him a few rounds. I mean, he's not going to win, but Yarde is good enough that he's going to come out and give him a few rounds, and then he'll just get knocked out, and that'll be the end of that. Bivol, who knows? I mean, I hate sitting here talking about what fights might happen because we know how it is. Who knows? We hope it happens. That's all you can say anymore in boxing. That you just hope it happens. I'm not going to sit here and that's who he should fight next after he knocks Yarde out, but who knows? Now, here's a question. What if Yarde knocks him out?
Well, no plans.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, if you're Bivol, you definitely jump in and fight Yarde. So that unification fight would happen. I don't think that'll ever happen. But like you said,
can you imagine Anthony Yarde doing
God,
shitty Mayweather shoulder roll against standing in front of Dmitry Bivol, picking his head off for 12 rounds?
We don't need Yarde. I mean, I wouldn't say it's funny, but it would mess some stuff up if Yarde won. I don't mind. I don't mind every once in a while when the huge underdog wins because it does just throw everything, like Andy Ruiz. It does just kind of throw everything out of works. But but we'll see. But Herbie, like y'all said, though, he's only probably got maybe 2 years left. because of how, he keeps getting injured and his style. So he has to finish it now. You're right. He has to claim everything he can and grab every dollar he can, because I don't think he's got a ton of years left. I mean, maybe 2 at the most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, if Anthony Yarde was to beat him, it would be a monumental upset, even though Yarde is a puncher. But yeah, I think I mean, if he does it, fair play to him. But I really want to see Beterbiev get rid of him and move on to that Bivol fight, hopefully, and then unify the 175-pound division. Justin, I'm going to stick with you for number 9 here. We've got Jermell Charlo, one of your countrymen from the US of A, junior middleweight undisputed champion, 35-1-1 with 19 knockouts. The one loss was to Tony Harrison, which he later avenged. The one draw was to Brian Castano, which he also avenged to get that WBO title alongside his WBC, WBA, and IBF 154 pounds belts. Only one fight again for Jermell Charlo, Justin, in 2022. It was on the 14th of May. He showed against Castano that he had learnt the lessons from the first fight. I thought he was excellent after about round 5 or 6. He really took over and he did the exact right thing, knocked him out. It was unfortunate he only fought the once, but Jermell Charlo, fantastic year for him, undisputed champion.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good win. And I just want to say first, I don't think he's faking an injury. I know we're talking about his year, but the Castano win was really good. He should have fought more, but now he's got the hand versus Tim Tszyu. I don't think he's faking that injury. That's the huge thing that is like the articles or people want to see the x-rays, which I always think, screw the people. We don't need to see the x-rays. I mean, if the guy says he's injured, he's injured. That's just the end of it. It's like, who are we to demand, like, we got to see his medical records. And, I mean, if the guy wants to go the lengths of faking a hospital x-ray and sitting in a hospital room with his hand wrapped, that's on him. But like I said, I don't think he's faking that, because I think he'll beat Tim Tszyu, because like you said, he looked really good versus Castano. He did everything he was supposed to do. He showed his ability and beat him, and I think he'll do the same thing versus Tim Tszyu. But like I said, I don't think he's faking that. I don't know if y'all have seen all that stuff that's been going around, but I definitely don't believe he's faking a hand injury to get out of fighting Tim Tszyu.
Yeah, I have seen that, Joe, and I think it's a load of bollocks. You just look at people's records. I often go on about this. You see people's body of evidence. You got Charlo, win over Harrison, win over Rosario, draw with Castano, win over Castano. He ain't ducking Tim Tszyu, as tough a fight as that would be.
No, I'm actually not aware of what you guys are referencing. But what does a pause in his career do for Charlo? Like you said, I think we all know he has what it takes to beat Tim Tszyu, and I think it'll be a fun fight as well. So
no, Joe. What happened was they had to cancel the fight because he said he broke his hand, so the fight's not happening.
I heard the fight wasn't happening, but I haven't seen that about like the fake.
I think it's just the Twitterati, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just the message board, the Twitter, and I think some reporter come out and said something like there was something fishy going on, or something stupid, but he's not faking for Tim Tszyu.
No, I don't think so. He seems like a pretty honest fighter. I remember he was really upset about Tony Harrison for the rematch there. He got injured just before his fight, and there was accusations that Tony Harrison wasn't being fully serious, and he kind of played into those a little bit, I think, to get into Charlo's head. But I think he just went and had a fight anyway because he didn't want to waste the camp. He seems that kind of fighter. He'd rather be busy and will take fights, even if it's not exactly the fight you want, just to kind of keep busy. He doesn't seem like his brother, who's seems to be a lot more. He seems to be a lot easier to just sit on the couch and not fight anyone for a long period. His brother's inactivity has been a real killer, and I wouldn't want to besmirch Jermell's reputation by carrying him in the same boat. I think he's a real fighter, Jermell. Jermell still has a little bit to prove for me.
Yeah, well said, Joe. Jermell's career is on skid row, as the great Porky would say. Michael Thompson says the Charlos are way too rich to be worried about a layoff, unfortunately. Praise be to Uncle Al. Well, as I say, Uncle Al does pay them well, but unfortunately that is to the detriment of their activity. Only one fight for Charlo during the year. He comes in at number 13, 2 places below Beterbiev in the box fit rankings. He is number 9 on the Transnational Boxing Board rankings. Joe, compared to Charlo, Sugar Ray Robinson levels of activity from number 8 here. Saul Canelo Alvarez, Mexican, 57-2-2, 39 knockouts at super middleweight. All the belt are his. He is number 1 on the box fit rankings, actually. He had 2 2 fights this year. Dmitry Bivol beat him on the 7th of May 2022 up at light heavyweight. He then slid back down on the 17th of September 2022 to fight old rival Gennady Golovkin in their third and final fight. He is the main man at super middleweight. It's a bit of a bittersweet year, strange one really. Lost to Bivol quite comprehensively for me, despite the stupid scores. And then the fight against Golovkin was a bit of a strange fight, given Golovkin was done and there wasn't really a lot of action in it. What kind of year has Canelo had for you, Joe?
Yeah, like I think that you can't really expect him to have as many years like he had 2021. You know, when he unified 168, and you know he's just had a whole load of amazing years in a row. And I think regression to the mean will tell you that you're going to have a not so great year every once in a while too. And I think that's probably what you're seeing here. Like obviously the Bivol fight was never really a good matchup for him. I think a lot of people felt going into that fight you may have bitten off more than you could chew there. And the Golovkin fight was just way past the sell-by date. We didn't need to see that at all. Like so, yeah, I think it's a bit of a weird one for Canelo, but I would take issue with him being as high as 8, you know, or as low as 8. I'd still think that he's probably a top 5 pound for pound fighter for me. A loss against a guy like Bivol doesn't make you a bad fighter overnight. He's still got, you know, probably the best left hook to the body in the sport. He's still got, you know, some of the best head movement in the sport. He's still got, you know, a really amazing front foot style, which I can't see anyone maybe outside of David Benavidez giving him a good fight at 168. So I wouldn't have him down as 8. I'd probably have him still top 5, kind of a mid-year notwithstanding.
Yeah, he's number 8 in this one. He is top in the boxweight one. Justin, 2 fights for Alvarez, then a loss to Bivol and a win over Golovkin. We know he's going to be out for quite a while. Be lucky to see him at any point in the first half of next year, given this hand injury. He's probably on the slide. He's had a lot of fights, Alvarez. Where do you see him going next, Justin? What's he going to do? Try and mop up a super middleweight fight, maybe the winner of Benavidez Plant? What would be a good 2023 for Canelo?
I mean, 2022, like I said, I think what happened with that was simply they just overestimated Bivol. They just didn't realize how good he really was, and they just bit off more than they can chew. Like I said, that's why I agree with Joe. I don't think he's on this big slide and that he's, you know, that he's really beatable now and everything. I think it's just they picked the wrong guy at the wrong time, and that happens. That happens in boxing since the beginning. You assumed that you had a guy and that you could get him, and I think ego might have been involved in that too, because he really was, you know, he feels himself a lot, thinks he's the best. And so I think that's what happened with Bivol. And as far as his future fights, I mean, Benavidez Plant. I mean, I don't think he'd want, if Benavidez is winning, he'll fight him. He's not going to fight Plant again. I mean, what's the point? There's no point of him fighting Plant again. It would be Benavidez if Benavidez wins. But I mean, he's got his whole, what does he say? He doesn't fight other Mexicans, and he doesn't. So who knows if that's just something, I don't know what the deal is with that. But if he fights Benavidez, that would be the biggest fight out for him at that weight. He's probably not going to fight the Charlo, the one that, you know, like Joe said, doesn't do anything. And I think he's already got legal trouble as well, the middleweight one. So who knows what he's going to end up doing. Didn't he like try to shoot a family member or something? I don't remember. It was something like that. Or or he punched a family member, or somebody's family got it. I don't know exactly how they got it, but they got it.
Sometimes you just feel like punching a family member, though, don't you?
I can sympathize with that, to be honest.
But you remember when they did like that 24/7 thing? Don't they all live together? Like they split the house in half, so like the entire like family lives there, like 20 or 30 people. So who knows who got it? Because they all. I remember like his brother got like one half of the house, that he got like the other half of the house, or something crazy they did. So who knows what happened? But like I said, Canelo, I don't say he slid, because he's just getting older, and he's just like, he's still got a couple of good years left where he's going to be at the top. But Benavidez is the number one guy. If you don't fight Benavidez, and if you don't fight Charlo, then who are you going to fight? Andrade, there's not a lot at 168, because we've seen he can't go up to 175 unless it's like hand picked. He's not going to beat those guys, so he has to either go down.
Prediction. Sorry,
yeah,
Justin, I thought you could.
No, you're good.
I was just saying, I think at 168 there is one guy who I think might cause him an issue, but not right now. Probably a couple of years down the line, be David Morrell. They're building him pretty nicely.
Maybe, yeah.
he's kind of drawing his own crowd there. I think they're trying to maybe angle that fight down the line. But he seems like he's got, he's only 7 or 8 fights under his belt, I think, but he's shown a lot of different skills, a lot of versatility in just those 7 fights against pretty decent opposition.
Yeah, Holly saying in the chat there, Canelo was confident he could give Usyk a run for his money before the Bivol fight. I think that was more Eddie Reynoso was calling for that one. I'm not sure whether that was ever a realistic proposition, but yeah, they were talking about Usyk. They were talking about Makabu up at cruiserweight as well. But it just
he supposedly he spars your man Frank Sanchez apparently, who trains with Reynoso as well.
You know what? He probably would beat Makabu though. Even now, he probably would beat him if he wanted to try that fight again. He probably could beat Makabu.
Yep, wouldn't be surprised if he caught him with a decent shot. Justin, sticking with you, we go to number 7 on the list here. Whether heavyweights jump onto our lists or not is debatable, but Tyson Fury is on this one anyway. 33-0-1 with 24 knockouts. He is number 2 on the BoxRec rankings. Tyson Fury fought twice this year, Justin. He fought in April the 23rd, knocked out Dillian White with a 6th round TKO in Wembley, and then in Tottenham, 10th round TKO over his old mate there a few weeks ago. Derek Chisora, bit of a placeholder year for Fury, Justin. What do you think he's done for you?
If you want to get, I think it was kind of an embarrassing year for Fury. I mean, he ran his mouth all year and didn't do anything except fight. Derek Chisora should have never happened. Should have never happened. That was just how many times have we? I don't think I've ever remember in boxing that you fight a guy for the 3rd time after you beat the shit out of him the first 2 times. Well, has that ever happened where you have just? I guess maybe Saul Farah has done that, but have you? Yeah, have you ever? I mean, I don't remember a time when you fight a guy the 3rd time after you have just pounded him the first 2 times, and then he beat Dillian White, which just like it's kind of an embarrassing wasted year because he beat 2 guys that he was supposed to knock out. He was supposed to beat them. He was supposed to dominate them, and then he ran his mouth all year, and nothing happened. So his only option is he's gonna. I mean, he says he's gonna fight Usyk. He kind of looked stupid yelling at Usyk in the ring, and Usyk didn't do anything. He just kind of looked at him. But that's how Usyk is. He's not going to play those games, the whole back and forth. So I don't know what he does. He has to fight Usyk next. He's probably going to end up out of nowhere. They're probably going to come up with like Joshua or something out of nowhere. But he needs to fight Usyk. If he fights Usyk. And then if Joshua gets a win and he fights him, that's not a bad year. But this year was just embarrassing. It was just a joke. He could try to. He just lost a lot for me. I mean, I always kind of liked Tyson Fury, but man, this year was just sad. It was just sad.
A scathing indictment on the year there, Joe. What have you done for me lately? Not too much for Justin. Does he have credit in the bank from the Wilder wins for you?
Yeah, I think so, but I definitely need to get a move on this year. Enough of the talk, and I'm sick of his shite, really. I don't pay any attention to him anymore on social media. I try not to, at least. I try to separate the fighter from the personality, and I don't really vibe with his personality at all. I have my suspicions about the whole, miraculous recovery at the same time as his, doping test results kind of being squashed. I've never really bought madly into the Fury story, but I think that he's a fantastic heavyweight. But I'm sick. I don't want to see him against another body bag, which is basically what Derek Chisora was, and Dillian White was never on his level. Like, I'm glad Dillian White got shown up at the world level like he was going to, but I need to see Fury in with a proper fighter this year. Get off social media, get off that shite, and maybe get back into the US. I don't know. Like, is he allowed back into the US for a fight?
I don't think he is.
That really going to
I don't think so.
Massive hindrance to his career, massive hindrance. It's going to be so much harder to get a good fight now if you can't fight in Vegas. So he's a dickhead, really, a complete fucking dickhead.
Absolutely, Fury. Yeah, get your ass back into the States, says Joe. Holly Lewis says Fury versus Chisora was absurd. Nothing absurd about Danny Young's appearance here, sliding in on this Thursday evening. Good evening, Daniel. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Am I all right? Sound okay? All right at the minute?
Yes, sounding good, brother. What's happening?
Well, like yourself, Steve, the biggest KO of the year was probably me on Christmas Day. All set, ready to put the beef in the oven, and I just lost. It was like I took a uppercut and then a right hand from the missus. I was down.
Intense beef, man. Intense beef.
Intense beef, mate. I tell you what, I was on shaky legs and everything. So yeah, that was But I've made a full recovery, and I'm looking forward to my next opponent. You know what I mean? I'll take the defeat, and I'll move on to the next year.
We are always glad to have you here. You've jumped in at number 7 on the transnational boxing board, pound for pound rankings. We're talking a bit of Tyson Fury here. Holly wasn't impressed with Chisora. I don't think she was impressed either with Dillian White. But were you impressed with Tyson Fury's 2022, Dan?
So what do you have? Two fights in a year?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
I mean, it's more than what we expect. But I personally, I'm being, whether this is greedy or not, I still don't think it's enough. I still don't think 2 fights a year is enough for me. I think 3 is acceptable. 2 is below par. But I mean, obviously, Chisora, yeah. I mean, I was there, but it wasn't what we wanted. But in fairness to the guy, I don't think there was anyone else forthcoming that wanted to take a fight in December with everything going on. You know what I mean? It's strange to say it, but there was a lot of people kind of either tied up in the heavyweight division or just off the back of a fight with someone else. But I think next year, I think I said it before after the Chisora fight, I think next year needs to clear things up and properly. I don't think we could be fucking about anymore now. Like, I mean, obviously you're hearing fights with, like, they're talking about, have I heard something saying that it's going to be Dubois versus Usyk or something stupid like that recently?
That was being talked about, I think, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Hopefully they'll just get that unification on, don't they?
Yeah, that's all we need. I said it back in early December. That's all we need. Get the unification sorted out. If there needs to be a rematch after it, so be it. I mean, and then I just want to see, outside of that, I want to see the best heavyweights fighting each other, just so we know there's a clear path and direction. Whether the belts get fragmented or not, then we know who's top of the pile. None of these fucking bullshit fighters hanging about in the top 20 in the world that, you know, with like ranking belts and all that bollocks. Fuck that right off. I mean, still got the who have we still got hanging about? I'm trying to think now.
I'd like to see Joyce get a shot next year at some stage, maybe at the end.
That's what I mean. Like,
unification, you know, he seems like he should be, you know, top of the order near, you know.
I'd like to see Wilder Joyce next year. That'd be a fantastic fight for me.
Yeah,
I mean, Joyce is getting older. He needs to get a shot pretty quick.
Yeah. See if Wilder could crack his chin. That would be an interesting one, because Joyce is an immovable object. But if we're not going to get the big ones, I would like to see Joyce ahead of Dubois. Dubois sent off a lot of warning signals for me, Dan, in that Lorena fight. So I think if it's going to be anyone, stick Joyce forward if it's not Usyk.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dubois will get there, though. I'm not giving him his due. I mean, McGuigan's probably the right person for him. And they've not been together for a mass amount of time. I think that's 3 fights, I think it is, maybe they've had together. Yeah. So I think McGuigan, for him to kind of get, and Dubois is still young, man. Fuck me. Like I was a bit worried about him after the Joyce fight, and because the way he was defeated. And then, to be honest with you, I think he sucked it up and did well in that last fight, just purely on the basis that, you know, maybe potentially if that had been the Dubois of, you know, 2 years ago, just after the Joyce fight, he probably would have packed it in potentially. But yeah, just keep him out of the spotlight, keep him ticking along. He doesn't have to face big. I mean, you want to see him face live bodies, but he doesn't have to be anyone dangerous. And just like you say, fast track Joyce, man. Joyce is obviously, for me, Joyce is in the top 5. So he needs to be fighting people in and around him now. Otherwise, it's just a waste of a career. And like you say, he's not getting any younger, man. What is he now? Nearly 40 now, isn't he?
I think he's about 38 or so, isn't he?
Yeah. So he needs to hurry up now. But I mean, to be honest with you, like there's more exciting divisions outside of heavyweight these days, and it's just we end up just talking about the same old shit, really, don't we? Not to be a downer, but we do end up talking about the same shit all the time. Get the right people, the right fights. Stop talking bullshit. I mean, Tyson Fury, like I've just briefly, just stay off fucking social media. Stop shit talking people and fucking fight them. Then you know what I mean. Just do whatever you need to do. If you've got Frank and Big Al in the court, not Big Al. Who have you got? What's his name? Oh my god, who's the promoter?
Who Frank what?
No, yeah, you got Frank. Who's the other fella from the
Shalom?
Bob Arum? Sorry.
Oh, Bob Arum. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, if he's got them two like in his corner, I'm pretty sure any fight can be made with them two. Really, like, so they just need to fucking suck it up and get it on. Get it on now. That's enough now.
Yeah. Dr. FMG says, can see Joyce being used to test Jalolov as he's a future danger to Dubois and Fury. I think it was the Dr. FMG made the point in the Nutters group as well, comparing Dubois to Herbie Hyde. That Dubois does strike me very much as an on-top kind of fighter, and he doesn't like it up him, but he did tick a few boxes against Lorena, even if the referee kind of jumped in a little bit. So the jury's out. I remain sceptical at the moment about Dubois, but if anyone can fix him, I'm sure Shane McGuigan can. One of the best trainers in the UK. That is Tyson Fury then. So we'll move on just into our next person on the list. Number 6, Juan Francisco Estrada, coming in at number 30 in the BoxRec rankings, but he's number 6 in this one on the screen. Mexican, 44-3, 28 knockouts. He's a super fly, or a junior bantam, as they refer to him here. Real swathes of inactivity before the fight last September, Justin, against RG Cortez. He didn't look great. He had to shed a bit of rust. Cortez outboxed him at times and looked pretty decent. And then he had the excellent win, majority decision against Roman Gonzalez 3 months later. So a strong end to the year for Estrada.
Yeah, BoxRec 30 is kind of a joke, I think, on that one. But this might be controversial, but everybody's always like, it's always Estrada and Chocolatito, right? I've always been an Estrada fan over Chocolatito. I know might be controversial. Yeah, no, I have always been. It's just, for some reason, it's just I got on him first before Chocolatito, like when I was way back when I was watching, and that's just my guy. I've always favored him more. It just is what it is. But
Justin, do you think Estrada could possibly be the only clean Mexican fighter?
He's probably not clean, but I mean, he's probably as close as you could get. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he just probably hadn't got. I think how I look at it, we're not gonna get into the drug testing thing, but I think it's simple. I think every fighter's doing something, they just hadn't got caught. I think everybody tries or does something. Even Nonito Donaire, who people put him on, I guarantee he's done something. He's taken something. Somebody's put something. I just don't worry about it, because I guarantee they've all been on some kind of a, hey, come try this vitamin or try this. They've all done it. But as far as Estrada goes, I mean, he had a good year. I mean, he, like you said, he takes a lot of time off, and if you can beat Gonzalez, then you've had a good year. It doesn't matter if that's your only fight of the year. So I think he had a good year because he beat the guy, the other man in his division. He beat him. That's all he had to do. So his year was good, if you look at that aspect of it. Like I said, I know everybody on here is huge Chocolatito fans, and I know that's just a big thing, but I've always been a fan of the Rooster, and that's just my guy.
We're talking about another fighter who's only had 2 fights in a year again, though, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. That's why everybody.
Is this the norm now? Like, is this, because this to me it's just not good enough.
It is the norm, because now they've even got the prospects are starting to get to that point now where they only fight 3 or 4 times a year, just I guess to get them rhythm for 2. Because is it a lack of opponents? Maybe I don't know. There's always, you got to figure there's always somebody out there. He might suck, but there's got to be somebody you could fight, and somebody will pay you to fight him. That's what I always think. It's like, if you look at the rankings, there's like 20 or 30 guys in each one. You tell me like none of those guys I mean, it could be money, because I think money's part of it now. I think guys just get paid ridiculously too much, and they're just not going to. So I think one reason why guys fought so much back in the days, you had to fight that much to get paid. You wasn't making a whole year's salary off of one fight. You had to fight 7 or 8 times to add all those checks together. That was a lot of it too, is you couldn't fight a guy one time in like the 50s, 60s, and that would be your whole year. You had to fight multiple guys to get the money. So I think that's what's changed a little bit too. And I do believe that. I think if you fought one time back in the 50s, you wasn't getting paid. but you fought 12 times, then it adds up.
Mm-hmm.
Rodriguez has got to be the only fight there, really, hasn't it? Surely.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Next for Estrada next year?
And Rodriguez will probably beat him, but I hope Estrada wins. But you got to go with the young guy, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the guys are getting paid too much money, but we are looking down the list here. We've got Beterbiev, who's 1 fight, Charlo 1 fight, Alvarez 2 fights, Fury 2 fights, Estrada 2 fights. We've lost Joe Kennedy. Mikey Thompson did jump on the call briefly. Michael, come back if you want. We're more than happy to have you. He kind of saved the year, Danny, I think, Estrada. Like I said, Cortez in September. You're a big Chocolatito fan, but he finally got one over on Chocolatito, even though he looked like he was walking through treacle at times towards the end of the fight. It turned out to be a decent year for Estrada, all things considered.
He actually got 2 in a row over Chocolatito, if you want to get technical.
Yep,
I'm just saying.
Yep, that's fair.
Pissing on our parade again, but yeah. Yeah, he's a fantastic fighter with a fucking great engine, and you know what I mean. Like he's really good. Just I don't know. Like I find it weird. It's kind of like the best people that can challenge him are kind of they're at the wrong age now. And again, the reason why I say Rodriguez next is just purely on the basis of there's no one else. There's literally no one else to challenge him next season. Next season, I'm talking about football, aren't I? Next year. I don't really fancy any of the Japanese guys against him. Nakatani, Tanaka, Ioka. I don't fancy any of them guys. So it's got to be Rodriguez for me. Well, it'll be a good fight to make if they can make it. It'll be interesting as well. But yeah. I can't see anyone else outside that. But you got. Well, I mean, Wangek is finished now, and they had some good fights, didn't they? They had a couple of good barnstormers. So
yeah.
I mean, you got a good fight if he faces the winner of Ioka and Franco. That'd be like a good unification. That'd probably be the biggest money he could make. If you want to look at it that way. Unless he fights Gonzalez again, but as far as if he wants to unify, the Ioka and Franco, they fight like 2 days from now, so that would be like his only unification chance.
I'm just thinking because Rodriguez is with DAZN, isn't he? And I know Estrada's been on DAZN as well, hasn't he? So
yeah, they could easily make it if they wanted to do that.
It's an easy one to make, and I think it will. Obviously, it certainly won't not a casuals fight, is it? But I mean, the boxing hardcores will love that. So yeah,
knowing Estrada, he'll probably take a year and a half off.
I hope not.
You won't worry about it.
That's the only downside, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Either Bam Rodriguez or Ioka. I expect Ioka will beat Franco, and then hopefully Ioka. I'd say he'll come over now. He's got a couple of losses on the record. He would maybe come over and fight Estrada, but as you guys say, the in-house fight would be the best to make. If he were to get the win. Michael Thompson's jumped on the call. Michael, how are you getting on? Okay?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Steve. Can you hear me properly?
I can hear you loud and clear, and you are jumping in just at the right time here for number 5 on the pound-for-pound rankings. He's actually number 3 in that ones. Russia's Dmitry 11 knockouts at light heavyweight. He's my fighter of the year. A win over Canelo, first of all, and then taking Gilberto Ramirez. His unbeaten record as well. What kind of year for you has Dmitry Bivol had, Mikey?
Yeah, perfect, really, because this is who I wanted to speak about overall, really, because if and the guys were mentioning it before, if you look at that table, no one's had 3 fights from what I can tell. Everyone's had 2, haven't they? Yep. I was looking at it before, and I think if you want to see who the best pound for pound is from this list, you probably got to go who's had the best 2 wins, and maybe you could say Inoue, but for me it's Bivol. His win over Canelo was just brilliant. I love watching that fight, especially as everyone thought Canelo was going to smash him up as usual, and Bivol just outclassed him and beat him up against the ropes. It was brilliant. And then obviously the Ramirez fight, even though I've not ever really rated Ramirez that much, he's massive, he's a trick, he's a left, he's a southpaw, he's good on the inside, and Bivol just after a couple of rounds, the size difference, I didn't even notice it. It was just such a pleasure to watch him just, beat up someone again. It's just a shame that he always seems like he's throwing at about 70%. I think just an extra like 10 or 15% on his punches, he could knock a few more people out. But yeah, I think for me, out of all those people, he's got the best two wins, I would say.
Dmitry Bivol there, Danny, sliding in at number 5. There's no such thing as the perfect fighter, but he ticks a lot of boxes, doesn't he? The engine, the work rate, his ability to go the 12 rounds, his judgment of range and distance. He's going to be very hard to beat. Whoever can manage it, who knows? But he is a really top fighter, Bivol.
Yeah, Bivol's fantastic. There's nothing. There's nothing like really kind of showy about him. Nothing, real box office, should we say?
Yeah,
he
just
does
solid,
everything
isn't
so
he?
well. Yeah, he just does it. He does everything so well, and he's just, to be honest with you, like with for the purists, he's just a pleasure to watch. Sometimes, he's got a great jab. He does a lot of doubling up with the jab and then just throwing a straight right and things like that. It's all just simple, easy stuff, but he does it so well and so effective. And I think he does. I think the way he works the body and then comes up and like different angles and all that kind of stuff. It's just he's just really good to watch. But like you say, I mean, you can't. I know he's again. We're only talking about another 2 fights. Like Mikey just said that. Was it that Michael said the only people have only really had 2 fights here? But again, Alvarez and Ramirez on your list for the 2 fights. I mean, for me that. I'd probably put him a little bit higher than this list, if truth be told.
I'd have him way more near the top in terms of like the year that all these people have had.
I don't particularly agree with this list, to be honest with you. Looking at it, but yeah, I'd probably have Bivol potentially in the top 3.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I would as well. Go on, Mikey.
Oh, sorry, I'm just saying, just as like a bit of like a style to watch. If I always think, if you watch like say if you watch like a silhouette of Manny Pacquiao fighting, or I don't know, someone else who's got a really recognizable style, I think Bivol's like getting there now. He's got that really fluid sort of like in and out. He's got those long sort of shots, and he's everything, like we were saying, it's just a pleasure to watch him fight. And he sort of even just watching him on the pads is just so good to watch. And he does the same thing in the ring, which is what I always appreciate as well. He trains on the pads like he fights in the ring. A lot. He doesn't just stand in front of the pads throwing all flashy combinations. And and just the FMG is that comment there. Just totally agree. I think I'm really looking forward to his next fight.
Yeah, the Dr. FMG there saying his duck out step back against Canelo was pure art. Had Canelo swinging at air. It's just, Dan, a fighter who just has the basics absolutely drilled down. There's a lot of repetition in boxing. We see the slicksters and the skillsters, but the guys who've just got their craft absolutely nailed down. You can just tell he's like Klitschko in that he just repeats the same things over and over again. It's just become an art now, Dan.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Klitschko's a good shout actually, because you're just trying to think of like people that kind of resemble that style in a way that they're not flashy, like you say. They're not box office. They don't do anything. But
Klitschko was so repetitive, wasn't he, in his training? Like he would have just done steps and like shadow boxing and ballerina moves for hours on end, and that's sometimes what you need to do. Repetition is the bedfellow of learning.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that is a really good one, Steve. It's a good call, that, because that's just probably the closest I can think of off the top of my head. I'm not the best of real enough names off the top of my head, but that's a pretty good one in fairness. But yeah, to be honest with you, I'm really interested to see who's going to fight next, because obviously we all want the Beterbiev fight, which I think he probably wants it as well. He doesn't sound like much of a ducker, and he's got no interest in Canelo again. And fair play to him for saying that. I just think he's going to need a tune up, but that tune up for me, I don't know who that, or a keep busy fight, but I don't know who that keep busy fight is going to be against, because again, it's trying to look for someone in that category. I'm just having a look now to see what they've got in the list, but. Is Callum Smith retired? No, I'm talking rubbish. Callum Smith's there.
Ricky Graville was saying earlier Callum Smith is in the line for Beterbiev or something. If he gets past Yard, that could add a further spanner into the mix.
Rubbish. Like, we don't want that. Nobody wants that. Put Bivol in with Smith, and then that's it. That just sorts that out, doesn't it? Really?
That's a good point,
that sorts Bivol in with Smith. Again, easy fight to make if Smith's still with the zone, which I think he is.
You would be disappointed if Beterbiev fought Smith after Yard, like he wanted to fight him. That would mean, like, where's he going in his career? That's the guy he would want to fight next anyway. That would kind of piss me off.
Yeah, Beterbiev wants the belts. He wants the belts as well.
There's no way he's going to fight Callum Smith. I don't see that happening at all.
No way. And do you know what? Right, that's what I admire about these two boxers, because they don't mince their words, and they're there to get belts. They're not fucking interested in. They don't seem very interested in paydays, to be honest with you. They seem interested in getting the belts.
You believe them when they say they want the best, and I truly believe when they say that. You don't believe like 95% of the guys, but I believe when they say it.
I think both of them do, and especially Bivol as well. Like, he took on Ramirez, he's mandatory, no problem at all. There was never any fuss. Same as Canelo, took the short end of the purse, backed himself. These two guys want to fight each other. I have no doubt about that.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you look down that list, there's no real names that stand out, really. I mean, like, you got Beterbiev fighting Yard. I mean, I think he's going to put Yard in hospital, and that sounds horrible, but I think he's on for a rollicking Yard, because pad work ain't going to box his way out of standing in front of Beterbiev. But I think if we can get Bivol get a little like tick over fight with Callum Smith, because I can't see Smith causing Bivol any problems. And then for me, it's on to the big one later on in the year, or maybe back end of the summer. That'd be fantastic. That potentially could be one that tries to eke me out of the UK and over to America if it's in the States.
Yep, that would be great. Bivol in at number 5. Hopefully he fights Beterbiev, who is at number 10 on these rankings. Yeah, just for the record, I don't necessarily agree with these rankings either. That's why I'm going back and forward between them and BoxRec. I said at the top of the show, Ring Magazine have rankings, ESPN have rankings. We're all subjective. I remember Hater Dave would perennially put in Bernard Hopkins into his rankings based on his former achievements, and they're very subjective, these things. It's just a way of eking out a bit of opinion and a bit of back and forth. I'll tell you what though, Danny, one person I would have Bivol ahead of these next two, to be honest, especially Errol Spence at number 4, and I am a bit of a Spence fan, really. 27-0, 21 knockouts. He's come back from this car crash. He's been involved in another car crash. Disappointing for me, Dan, was Spence talking on the recent Frank Martin, Michel Rivera Showtime card. He looked overweight. He sounded drunk, although he always sounds like that, to be fair. And he was slurring away that you might see him fight next April or May or June. That's going to be over a year. Again, he's fought once this year. I thought he looked good against Ugas. I know Ugas touched him up in a few rounds, but Ugas is no mug. He's on a good run of form. But Spence, if he fights next May or June, as he's saying, that's going to be another 13, 14 months out the ring. That's just not good enough for me.
Mate, me and you are all aboard the activity train, mate, and we don't like it when boxers just sit around and it's it's only so long that someone could have one fight. I mean, yes, he had a car crash, but that's one fight in 2 years, and then he'll just hang about and have another fight. So that'd be potentially 2 fights in 3 years. That's not good. That's not good for a so-called potential pound for pound fighter. In my books, and let's face it, like you say, the Ugas fight, he showed some tremendous skill in that fight and boxed most of the rounds. He boxed superbly, but I do worry about his downtime. What he does in it. It's the boozing up. When you see him at a boxing event, quite rightly, you say he's always on the juice, enjoying himself. That's fine, but it looks like sometimes he can't pull a sentence together, and then you worry about his driving style on the way home and things like that. So, yeah, it's a shame really, because we could. I mean, how old is he now? Just have a look at his thingy. 32. He's 32, man. I mean, come on. At this point, you expect him to be. I don't know. I just expect him to be better than he is, if that makes sense. At least more active and basically putting himself out there and come and get me kind of person. I don't know. I just find it's the same with Crawford. I find the two careers very strange in different ways. Very strange. They're both fantastic fighters in their own right. yes, we all want to see them fight each other to kind of determine who's the best from that little bunch and all the rest of it. But I don't know. I just struggle to find out. Well, I just struggle to wonder whether that's ever going to happen, and are we just going to see Errol Spence's career just fade away? I mean, you go back to when he came over to Sheffield and absolutely blasted Kell Brook out. I mean, he looked superb in that. Like, and even me then, because obviously, like, you're always backing the home fighter. I was thinking then, I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's good. This guy is really good. And I was so surprised about how good he was. And then, I don't know, just yes, he's got names there, but like I feel like some of the names are well past their sell-by date. Is that fair? Like Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, these fighters for me are past their sell-by date. No, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's a strange one.
You're 100% right. He hasn't beat any of those top guys in their prime. They were always like that step past it. You're right. He hasn't beat anybody, even Ugas. I mean, Ugas was an old guy too. I mean, it's not like he was in his prime. So I agree with you on that one. He hasn't beat anybody that was like prime. And even if he fights Crawford, I mean, Crawford, would you consider him in his prime? So it's probably the same thing.
Yeah, but you'd easily consider him the best that he's ever fought. There's no question about that. So
yeah.
They've been subtly clever though, the way they've matched him, because Ugas, we know what type of a fighter he is, but he had the credence of beating Pacquiao, and he had the belts. Porter as well, like you say, was one fight away from being beaten by Crawford and retiring. He also had a belt as well. Even if he fights Thurman next, I know Thurman's way past it and completely inactive, but they'll be picking off another name. So they do have names on the PBC side of the street. That's the benefit they've got going for them. Even Danny Garcia. I mean, at some point in Crawford's career, I would have killed for him to even fight a Garcia when he was fighting the likes of your Brooks and your Carnes. So they do have those names, even though they are faded, with belts attached to them. And that's what they've been good at doing, I think, with Spence in the meantime.
No, people love the names. They love the names, no matter how old they are, what they've done.
The names will sit on his box rec in future, won't they? Like people look in 20 years' time, and they won't say, "Oh, Porter was finished." Yeah.
So the only fight I'd want to see outside of the Crawford fight would be Ennis, but I think that's too soon for Ennis. Is that fair?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, no, actually, I'm going to go back on what I just said. No, I don't think so. I think Ennis is fantastic.
Yeah, I think.
And I think I think Ennis could beat him, but even if Ennis didn't beat him, I think there's definitely a 2 or 3 fight deal in the offering there, and those two could just go at it, and it would be fantastic. But my point I was trying to make though, with the lack of depth in the welterweight division, could you see Errol Spence moving up to super? I can't see it myself. I think he's at his weight. I think he'll probably get by in super welter, but I can't see any.
I think he'll move up, Danny. I honestly do, after the next fight, or if not before. If he doesn't get the Crawford fight, I think he will move up to super welterweight. Actually,
yeah, he'll move up.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's tight at the weight, especially with his lifestyle as well. And as for Ennis, I don't think it's too early for Ennis. But what I will say is, I heard it mentioned before, and it kind of makes sense when you think about it. You know, the way we've gone on about Ennis's managerial situation in the past, he's not fully tied to the PBC. And I wonder whether that has to do with the fact they've never really pushed him, have they? And given him that next level, because he's not 100% PBC fighter. There's always been issues behind the scenes with him. And I think they're reluctant to fully invest and throw all the chips in with Ennis. Against the Spence or whoever, because of that reason. They haven't got full control of him, I don't think, going forward.
Can you just for banter, right? Can you imagine him getting into the ring with Fundora?
That would be good, wouldn't it?
It'd be an absolute fucking mismatch, wouldn't it? Really, like it'd just look weird. But
I wonder what state Fundora's in, man. It's a shame they couldn't put Fundora in with Sue, isn't it? Although that's only a few weeks away.
Yeah. But even the size of Tim Zhu compared to Errol Spence is there's a big size difference there.
Yeah,
I'm just looking down the list of the super welterweights. I mean, Charlo at the top, got Liam Smith still in there, Tony Harrison. I mean, these people, I don't know. The size difference could be quite big, but yeah. Ennis, I'd love to see
Harrison's
Ennis.
a big guy. Yeah, well, we need to see Ennis in against someone decent. Ted Barrett there says, why is Ennis not signed for the PBC? All the top welters have been there. There's been some kind of issue rumbling on with him for ages. I think he signed early on in his career for different people. I think Chris Middendorf is involved somewhere. Now, he was also interestingly involved in some kind of Terence Crawford managerial promotional issue early in his career. I think Top Rank had to buy him out. So Middendorf, he's not one bit slow him. He gets in there. Gary Shaw, I think Cameron Duncan's involved maybe at some point. Ennis is signed to all these different people and they've never been able to fully get him out and into the PBC. That's my kind of very vague overview. It's a lot more complicated than that, but the PBC don't own him fully. And I wonder whether that's why they haven't put their chips in, Justin.
Yeah, there's like lawsuits involved, or there was lawsuits. So yeah, that thing about it is though, it's a win-win for Ennis because if he loses, then he still gets all the hype and rep because he took the fight.
Yeah.
So that'll make him look good, and so he'll get all the praise for taking it. And then if he wins, of course, he gets all the praise. So if I were him, I would definitely want it.
He gives any of them a fight. He's huge. He's gigantic, and he can punch like a mule. He goes in and he gives Spence, he gives Crawford, Thurman, any of them an absolute hell of a time. I think.
I think he's the real deal. I really do. I think he beats all. I think he beats all those guys. I think he beats Thurman. I think he could beat Crawford. I think he could beat all those guys.
We just need to see how he takes a punch, don't we? That's all, really. I think we need to see how he takes a punch.
I don't see if Ennis was to stick his neck on the line and go for one of those, go for either of the top fighters in Spence or Crawford. I don't see it being much difference to your man Tim Tszyu and I know the fight's off now, but taking that early opportunity and just going for it. And
sorry.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry. I was sort of to your point now. I think if these like champions like Crawford and Spence, if we can't see them fight each other or like really top name guys, I think it's good for like these elite guys to like also fight these really hot prospects as well, and just to see, to get in with someone like super hungry, just to try and take a scalp. I think that's as important as fighting the other fellow champions in a way. I don't know if anyone else agrees, but I always like to see that.
Yeah, or going against each other like Stanionis and Virgil Ortiz. I think they're on the verge of signing to fight each other.
Yes, things like that. It doesn't always have to be the top people, fight each other all the time. But that's what I like about Crawford. Even though his resume hasn't got the names on it, I really like seeing these elite people deal with like world level guys. He just banged out even Ishian. He smashed up that Aussie, that Horn. Like John Molina, even fights like that, at least he's like knocking people out brutally. He's giving us like highlight reel stuff. Just personally, I like to see the elite level versus like world level, which is a super high level anyway. I always think it's really good to see that gulf right at the top.
Do you know what? I forgot about Stanionis and what a fighter he is. I mean, that's another one. I mean, again, thinking about it, like if he again, you'd put him in the same category as Ennis, really, I think. And if Spence and Crawford can't fight each other, then you could put Stanionis in with Ennis and just say, look, fight either or, crack on.
I think he can beat Ortiz. I think that fight's coming up in a couple of months.
Oh, absolutely, I think he can.
And if Ortiz is having whatever health issues he happen and he's having to drain and all that stuff, that Steady Otis could beat him, easily beat him, I think. Because they tried to play it off, but we all know why he went to the hospital, because he was draining down so hard. That's not going to get any better if you stay at the same weight class. So I don't see how that's going to get better.
I agree with that. I don't think he's in great shape, Ortiz. I think he struggles badly at the weight, like you said, and he really drains himself down. And Stanionis is very strong, excellent jab. Yeah, a really good fighter. Ted Barrett says Ennis Ortiz would be a banger, but can see them wait until they both have belts after the Spence and Crawford era. So yeah, going back to the list here, then I've noticed the records are out of shock. So I don't know when I cut this. It must be about 6 months out of date or something, because Crawford is down as 37-0 according to this. In third place, he's in fourth place on BoxRec, and he's 39-0. So they're all over the place here. Only one fight for Crawford in 2022. That was against Avanesian a few weeks ago, and he beat the shit out of him. Well, let's go on to number 2 then, Justin. In our list, we've got Oleksandr Usyk. So he is number 6 on the BoxRec list. He's 20-0, 30 knockouts, 35 years of age. He had one fight in 2022. That was against Anthony Joshua over in Jeddah. It was a little bit tougher than the first fight, wasn't it, in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Joshua, to his credit, especially to the body, had a better time with it against Usyk.
Oh, I definitely thought he had people gave Joshua no chance, but he actually gave Usyk a pretty good fight. I mean, he was there. Yeah. He was there. He gave it everything. Usyk won just because he's better at the end, but Joshua gave 100% effort. He gave everything he possibly could, and it wasn't enough. But still, I think I'm not going to say it took the shine off of Usyk because I really thought he was going to stop him this time. I thought he was just going to. So I guess you got to give Joshua credit for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess you got to give Joshua credit for that because he did show up and gave it everything he had. But Usyk's just another one of those years. I mean, a rematch. It was a tough rematch, but I mean that's all he did. And I think we all know what he has to do. He has to, if he has to fight his mandatory, and that's Dubois, right? It's his mandatory. Well, then, if he has to fight Dubois, he probably knock Dubois out because I think Dubois has got a lot. There's something there, and I think Usyk would stop him if he has to fight him to get the mandatory out of the way. And then, Fury says he's going to fight him, and then you can't believe anything he says. So that's all Usyk's got. His only fight out there big is he's not. I don't think he'll fight Wilder. And honestly, this might be wrong here, but I think Wilder could knock him. I think Wilder will knock Usyk out. Because I think Usyk has been stung a few times. I know people are not going to agree, but I think he's been stung a few times. I think Joshua, I wouldn't say hurt him, but he rung his bell a couple of times. So it's going to be surprising if Wilder did land on him. And then, like I said, if he fights Dubois, which I think he'll knock Dubois out, then Fury is that's the fight he needs to get. That's the one that matters.
Yeah, I think, Justin, the issue with the titles has become really kind of weird now because, like you say, Dubois is the mandatory, but he's the mandatory because he has the WBA World Heavyweight title and Usyk is unified, so he has the super. Then you've got Joe Joyce, who I assume is the mandatory for the WBO because for some strange reason, Joyce isn't just a mandatory, but he has this WBO interim World Heavyweight Championship. Why can't we just have contenders and mandatories without them having to also hold a belt? Why does Joyce need to be the interim champion whenever Usyk is a very active WBO champion?
Money. Yeah. Because somebody paid for it. Frank Warren and then paid to have that interim, super interim, whatever it was. If somebody, like I said, it's all about money. If they're going to pay to have that title, then they'll get it. WBA be like, oh, take it. I really think that's as simple as that. Is they're going to do that if somebody's going to pay them for it. And Joyce and them thought, hey, it was worth it. Dubois thought it's worth it because they figure if we pay the little bit now, eventually it's going to lead to getting the big shot. And so, like I said, if he has to fight, I guess Dubois would be the man because he is the one right below him because he did beat Trevor Bryan. So Usyk could fight Dubois, make a little money, let Fury do whatever he wants to do, build it up a little bit more, and then they should fight probably in the summer.
I think Usyk is the epitome, Michael, of a pound-for-pound fighter. Cleaned up at cruiserweight, undisputed champion, knocked out the bomber, moved up to heavyweight, unified the titles against one of the established champions in Joshua. It's a fine body of work, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think he's so high up on the heavyweight pound-for-pound rankings. I think still a bit based on his, being so dominant at cruiserweight and probably being like the best cruiserweight of all time, really. And obviously being unbeaten at heavyweight as well. So yeah, he certainly still deserves to be up there, even though again he wasn't super active, was he? But just to and for the AJ fight, I thought we were talking about it before. AJ didn't disgrace himself in the ring. He disgraced himself afterwards with that ridiculous speech. If he just left it, he would have had a lot. I think we'd have been talking about the fight a lot more, positively in AJ's favour there, really. But yeah, even I think that was Usyk after the whole the Ukraine war as well. Obviously everything that his family had been through, and he had to go through another training camp, and his body's probably under a lot of wear and tear. He's been a long, he's had a super long career, hasn't he? Even after all that, he was still pretty dominant against a really good heavyweight, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. He was. I'm starting to get that Sunday feeling now. Rapping Rob Kelly's jumped on the call. Good evening, Roberto.
Well, I don't know what's going on in this fucking others calling, but it's not nice. You know that.
Rob, it's the wrong day, mate. It's the wrong day, Rob. You're normally on a Sunday, Rob.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's fucking. Well, I'm bored over Christmas, and there's nothing good on Sky, is there? Even at Ed.
Like,
There's no fights for you. No fights for you.
No fights for you unless they're in divorce court. Anyway,
we're sliding in a bit of pound for pound. We're on a bit of pound for pound, Rob. It isn't the best list in the world. I've just realised it's about 6 months out of date. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but who's impressed you over the year? Who's got you the tick in the Rob Kelly box?
Well, I think that everyone on that list is a brilliant fighter, and it used to be something I used to be so invested in, the number one pound for pound, and I used to have to be trying to nearly rally fellas around to my point of view. Really, it's what you like, isn't it? Like, I probably like Crawford as the best fighter in the world. Inoue, no problem with that, or Usyk. So the lad said Usyk is not that really. We haven't really learned anything more from watching Usyk in the second AJ fight. Apart from that, he's really good. You know what I mean? And he was always going to beat AJ. So Spence. All of them are brilliant, brilliant fighters. Charlo will probably need to fight someone for me, to be honest with you. And Beterbiev is probably the most impressive out of all of them, the scariest bastard on the list. But they're all really good fighters. Just what you like, isn't it? Where they are.
It is indeed our number one. Oh, a bit of Usyk for you, Danny. You've travelled over to Latvia to see the main man in action. He's at number 2 on the list. I think he's number 4 in the box rec rankings.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I know he obviously only had the one fight this year, but give the guy some slack. His country was at war, and he was, by the looks of things, he was fully taking part in that. He wasn't holding back at all. He and then obviously came out of that to go into camp, which must have been a fucking terrifying thing to do. I couldn't even put myself in that situation. I wouldn't even begin to think how that would have felt like. And then you get people that want to give Joshua credit. I'm sorry, Joshua can fuck off. There's no credit to be given for him. I don't actually think it was as close as people make out. I think that was more pity scores than anything. I thought it was very one-sided. The meltdown proved the point as well. He knows he wasn't very good, and I think that's why we got the carry on afterwards. But I just think he's a very consummate professional. I think he's fantastic. I think he does everything right. There's not a lot of bullshit talking from him, but again, he just wants to fight the best, and he's always there and willing to go. I can't praise the guy enough. He's a fantastic boxer and a fantastic personality, and I just wish him all the best, and I hope his winning run continues.
I know Danny has a future pound for pound to suggest. Just before we do that, we'll go on to our number 1 here. He's actually ranked number 8 in the box rec rankings, 24-0, big banger, 21 knockouts. Inoue at number 1 there, Rob. He got the job done against Donaire for the rematch. There was a bit of, not controversy, but the first fight didn't really go the way we thought it would. He broke his arm to bone. He showed a lot of bollocks. In the second fight, he just banged him out. And then Paul Butler, who managed to go a lot longer than we thought. Undisputed champion. I tell you what, 2 fights, hell of a year for Inoue.
Yeah, Inoue's brilliant. He's one of our favourites that'll never kind of betray us and cross over to fucking wider appeal, won't he? He's always going to be a niche boxers and he's a niche boxing fans boxer. But he's scary power, scary technique. I think it gives Rigo's win over Donaire more credence when you see how well Donaire performed against him in the first fight, in the kind of Indian summer he was having in his career. But even at that, the fucking result was never in doubt. A scary prospect. Just on that, instead of Charlo, I'd probably have Tank in there. I know we're on number 1 now, but I'd probably have Tank in there, shooting up the pound for pound rankings. But I think he's probably done more than Charlo to deserve to be there. And I've high hopes for Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia in 2023 alongside Bud Crawford and Errol Spence. Those are 2 fights that are most definitely going to happen, and nothing's going to happen to fucking.
It's deja vu, Rob. You said that last year.
Say Tank, man. Anyway, but yeah. So anyway, no problem with the monster being number 1. Definitely not.
I love Tank, as you know. I think he's a fantastic fighter, but I can't begrudge Jermell his little opportunity there at number 9, given the fact that he unified the division and knocked out a guy who he'd kind of had trouble with before, showed a lot of changes in his arsenal, and Derek James is a fantastic trainer. So I want to give Charlo a pat on the back there. As for Inoue in at number 1, Justin, we mentioned the fact that he's never going to cross over. Top Rank have tried their best. Well, I don't know if they have tried their best with him, to be honest. They've done a bit of a shit job with him. But over in Japan, apparently, this guy is an absolute superstar. You had the guts of 12 million people tuning into a tape delay of his win over Paul Butler. He's got the sports endorsements. He's worth tens of millions of dollars. He's doing well sexually as well, old Inoue. He's doing well for himself on top of this pound-for-pound list.
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's funny. Does anybody remember the Paul Butler posted the picture after the fight saying, like, basically he was bragging with the team because they didn't get knocked out earlier than the 11th round? Yeah. My God, he got the hell beat out of him, and then he was just proud because he didn't go earlier. I thought that was the stupidest shit. That might be the stupidest shit I've seen all year. Was that they were proud of lasting a little bit longer. What I don't know. That's just retarded. That's just stupid. I could, but yeah. Anyways, the man, but I think they said that Fulton would be the guy that everybody wants him to go up and fight him, but then Fulton come out and said that he might have business to take care of a weight class above him. So they might not fight. And Fulton come out and said, why do I owe him? I can't remember if he said, why does he owe him a fight like that? Or that fight doesn't define him. So who knows if that's going to happen or not, because Fulton's already kind of pouring cold water on them getting together anyway. So, yeah, but anyways, the man. That's all I got to say. And Paul Butler's a dumbass.
Mm-hmm. Go on, Don.
Yeah, I never got an opportunity to talk about it, but I thought the Butler fight was a disgrace. It ended up being a fucking game of hide and seek as opposed to a fucking boxing match. I think Joe Gallagher should be fucking ashamed of himself. The directions from the corner he was giving his fight and the shouting of, like, I get that you have to back your fighter, right? But when your fighter's throwing arm punches and it's hitting gloves and arms and everything all the time and shouting out like it's a good punch, then you're just basically lying to your fighter. It's a travesty, really. So I'm glad Inoue ended him, and I think it's an embarrassment if Paul Butler's then gone on social media afterwards and blagged, boasting about the fact that he lasted 11 rounds or whatever it was. So what? You got fucking dealt with properly by a great fighter. Inoue has to move up. There's nothing else in that division for him. He has to move up. But then, like, if you're saying Fulton's got to move up, then I just want to see the Casemiro Inoue fight. I think obviously Inoue is probably deserves a few kind of, like, just easy fights to get into the weight. His brother's at that weight as well, I believe, but I don't think we'll ever see that. But no. But yeah, a couple of easy kind of get into the weight fights kind of thing, and then that Casemiro fight I think would be fucking fantastic. I'd love to see that.
And also, Dan, never mind Fulton Inoue. I mean, that'd be nice to see if we do, but I don't want to see Fulton moving up. He's got to fight Ahmed Aliyev. He's got 2 titles. MJ's got 2 titles. They've got to unify, surely. Yeah,
you would have thought so. I mean, you got 1 and 2, and everyone's got the belts. Just go for it. You know what I mean? It's a no-brainer for me. I don't. Is there what? I mean, is there worry from the Fulton side of things that Ahmed Aliyev might be something special? I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean,
I don't think so. I'd make Fulton a strong favourite against Ahmed Aliyev.
Yeah, I would do, but I don't know.
Well, Fulton also got in a car wreck, so he might be going down the Errol Spence route recently.
Oh God, no, another one.
Yeah, he did. He completely destroyed his Range Rover and then took out another car, so he might be going down that path.
Again, though, it's whether that we spoke about. Obviously, we spoke about fighters that just wanted belts earlier, and now we're potentially talking about fighters that just want money. And maybe Fulton's one of those people. If he says he doesn't want to give Inoue a fight because why should he give him that payday and things like that? Then there we go. It just says it all.
Fuck him.
So yeah, that's
Who's
it.
Who's this pound for pound, future pound for pound person you're going to throw in, Dan?
Well, Steve, I've had a few Arranjabums now, and I might be talking completely out of my arse, but in a couple of years' time, I think Mrs. Kelly would be definitely in my female pound for pound going forward.
The career's
over.
Career's over, I heard.
Is she? Oh, you can't be seriously. I had a few quid in the bookies on that.
Due to injury, not Tank Davis related.
Okay, that's good. No car crash or anything like that.
I think she's still training in that, but she's just not going on about it anymore. Anyway, I'm going to be pimping her out straight down the OnlyFans route. Like Ebony Bridges is going to be like, she's going to be taking pictures at the piano and all, saying she's talking to her fans on OnlyFans tonight. $6 a pop. So I'm ready for. I hope she's ready for the big time and interviews with the gag.
Well, Rob's one step ahead of me here. Not that there's a Bellew of the Week tonight, but we are moving into that territory. Not that one. Here we are. Here she is. Ebbs, White Christmases all around on my OnlyFans tonight, says Ebbs.
Could you imagine that chat? Jesus. Could you imagine the chat they pay $6? Oh, God. Good Lord.
Steve, the question is, what's white? Is it inside her knickers or is it somewhere else?
Oh, for fuck's sake. We're not going there, are we? There she is on the piano.
Playing in was her favorite to play on the
piano. Not a fan of that staircase, by the way. Not a fan of that staircase.
No, not liking that. No.
No, not. Yeah, she needs an interior designer around there, Steve.
She's annoying. She's one of these people that interviews herself on social media, and Baumgartner's a bit like that as well. It might be over between me and Baumgartner. It's like, she's one of these people that just keeps posting these tweets. Like, the thing about me is, God got
teasers. You mean, Rob? She keeps tweeting teasers.
Yeah, it's like, the thing about me is, I'm different. I'm cut from a different cloth. Like, shut up. Nobody's asking you. Like, why are you talking like that? And then fucking Ebbs has been on. Like, I don't even follow her, man. It's like everyone that I follow follows her, and she keeps coming up in the fucking algorithm. It's like, she has this fucking thing about Shannon O'Connell as if it's this fucking Hagler Hearns war she had. Like, you're one fucking.
I'd never even heard of Shannon O'Connell before.
Nobody had it. She didn't realize it could bang like that. She would both hands and all. She's talking about herself like as if she's fucking prime Mike Tyson. Like, just relax. Like, it's fucking women's box. It's all a bit of a crack, isn't it?
Do you know what though? Right, she's made it over to the casual audience pretty quickly, because I've got people at my work now coming up to me going, "Oh, you go to boxing? Do you ever see Ebony Bridges?" And I was just like, "Well, I have done a few times." "Oh, can you get a photo from a video saying hello from her?" And I'm like, "What the fuck?" It's that bad.
Did you think she is John Fisher?
I think her tits made over to casual boxing. I don't think she actually has made over to casual boxing.
I don't know. Smitho's a big fan. Me and Oz are not. I don't know what the rest of the panel think, but it's better on the pound for. She's never been number one on my pound for pound list. Put it that way.
No. There you are. Old Ebbs. What else have we got here then? A few more. The boys have sent these in for Bellew of the Weeks, and in case I forget about them, I'm throwing them in now. There's Regis Progray. He says, "Stay away from people who gossip. They are most likely gossiping about you." So there's a bit of advice for you this Christmas.
I don't want advice from Pro. I don't want advice from Progray about money. What I need to do with people. Do you know what? Actually, I think Regis Progray needs to stay away from giving advice. Full stop, because it's not good.
Mexican timeshares, no boys. Mexican timeshares.
That quote looked like it should have a picture of your man from like Peaky Blinders with a fag in his mouth underneath the thumb.
Oh dear. Oscar Rivas retired from boxing due to repeated injuries, and then he announced shortly after that he hadn't retired. In fact, it was fake news. So Oscar is coming back.
Apparently, though, found a drugstore.
Think about it. Who's taking the time to fake Oscar Rivas news? I mean, what life do you have if you're taking that time out to fake
everything
Oscar
boxing,
Rivas
isn't it?
Yeah, to fake Oscar Rivas news.
Well, talking of advice, Gervonta Davis has got a bit of advice here, Rob, from a source. AB, keep your head up, Gervonta. The devil trying his best to stop you, but he can't stop God's plans. I love you, little bro. # this will also pass. # keep God first. There you go, from AB.
I don't know what to fucking make of that situation. Gervonta, I'll just tell you where I think it's going to end up. They're going to put him under the fucking jail in America, right? He's not beating these charges. I don't give a shit. People say money talks. He's not Floyd Mayweather. He's not the draw in Vegas and all that, where he lives in Vegas and is able to like manipulate his fucking jail sentence in line with his prize fights. They're going to get Davis, and he's going under the jail. And I'll be honest with you, it's fucking these fellas are so fucking stupid. Rich fighters to be just like getting themselves caught up in this. Obviously, don't put your fucking hands on a woman. Like the first news out, he has priors for this. Like we've seen the footage of him with your one by the scruff of the neck, hauling her out of the basketball hall or whatever the fuck he was doing. He's claiming that this one is saying that he hit her just to get some bread, like or whatever. Like he's been released on $1,000 bond now for a fellow with previous. I don't know if that's that serious. They say she had an abrasion on her mouth and it was a closed hand slap. Coppinger's been all over it, by the way. But Gervonta I don't think is doing himself any favors by doing these kind of posts proclaiming his innocence, and he's like playing clips of the 911 call and that. Like I think he hasn't faced trial yet for the 14 separate counts of hit and runs that he has as well. So it's not looking good, bruv, as Castillo would say. And I don't think there's going to be a good end for Gervonta Davis. And it's one of the biggest wastes of fucking talent of all time. And just while we're on that, like probably the most talented guy in the sport. He's not on a pound for pound list, but he's going to be a permanent fixture on it if he can keep his fucking self on the straight and narrow. Shakur Stevenson apparently was beside the fucking or left with the alleged murderer of Takeoff from the Migos, who was shot during that dice game, and Shakur was pictured with him. Well, apparently he left with the alleged killer, so he'd want to fucking watch himself as well. Like I just can't understand these guys are getting opportunities to become multi-millionaires and they want to do fucking dumb shit. Like so, reap what you sow, I guess. Like it's. Boxing's going to lose two of the probably, if these two don't sort themselves out, it's going to lose two of the biggest prospects, like or stars, stars, rather.
Yep. No, well said, rapping Rob Kelly. Also, a friend of the pod, Ozzy, was on Porky's Corner recently, and they had a discussion about Gervonta Davis's future, and Ted Barrett has nominated it for Bellew of the Week. Let's have a listen.
Who knows what's going to happen, but it'll come out when it comes out, and I'll look forward to seeing what it says.
I will. Tank Davis versus who from the UK? Who can get Tank a fight from UK?
What weight are we putting Tank at?
147.
147. He's not a 147.
Yeah, I know that, but let's just say he steps up a weight from what he's at now. 140, 147. What do you think?
Oh, Ross.
Jesus.
You'll be on there next, Rob.
Well, yeah. There is an episode of Honor between me and Porky that will remain forever behind the scenes. It wasn't really an episode, but he did catch me on the phone one night for about an hour. It was a good chat. He's a good lad, Porky, but I won't be going on any other boxing channel other than Boxing Asylum. I've got an exclusive contract here around these parts.
Absolutely. And we love you for it, Rob. A final couple here of not Bellew of the Weeks. Floyd sent this out on Instagram. He said, I will not be accepting gifts on Christmas, my birthday, Valentine's Day or Father's Day. I constantly give gifts all throughout the year because I feel every day is worth celebrating and not just some commercialized holiday. Where's the thought behind the gift if it's only given on a holiday? You only think of giving me a gift when society says you should give gifts. I understand people can't give me what I give them, but it's the small, thoughtful things that count. It's all about reciprocation. The random gift on any given day is priceless, not the gifts I receive 4 times a year. I'm better than that. There you go. That's Floyd.
4 times a year?
All I want to say to that then, Steve, is like if he wants to give out gifts all throughout the year, then I want some of that Mayweather's dollars that he's or crypto coins that he's going to give out then. Because
Metaskeletons.
Your metaskeletons and all that kind of stuff all that good stuff that he advertises. I mean, I'll take the bloody, I don't know, like I'll take free windows. I'll take anything from him. Whatever he's got, I'll take it.
A Manjaros.
Free Manjaros, we'll take it, isn't it?
This is what I was saying a couple of weeks ago, like about how boxing was just better when it was romanticized and described by the likes of Burt Sugar, where I didn't need to know like if fucking like Sugar Ray Robinson felt like people were giving him enough gifts throughout the year. Do you know what I mean? Why the fuck do I don't need to know this? Like, shut up, Floyd. Like, fucking pro grade, like people that gossip about folk and people that Tank is in the fucking on Instagram. Putting up a picture of himself, and I think he's trying to scrape off. He's trying to get off with this fucking accusation, isn't he? But it looks like he's trying to scrape off either the words "hater shit" off his mirror or "cheater slut." So he's trying to kind of say that he got caught cheating and that he never hit the missus, but she's trying to take revenge that way because she wrote "cheater" and "slut" on his mirror, or maybe he wrote "cheater" and "slut" on the mirror. But Probably wasn't Floyd anyway because it's spelled correctly.
The crazy world of Floyd. Final one here then, Justin. Maybe you'll shed a bit of light on this. I can't remember who put it in the Nutters chat, but somebody did anyway. Boxing with Termite presents Texas Flange. Fight night on January the 12th, 2022. Houston's own Carmen.
Yeah.
There. A dangerous Danielle Bennett, Justin, in on the action as well here.
I guess you need Gabe on this because this is where he lives, but Pasadena, Texas. I have no idea. I don't know anybody. I don't even know what does flange mean? Texas flange.
Well, put it next to it.
Let me look up flange. Is that a real word? Flange definition is it's collab or rib, strengthen or to attach. So it's Texas attached is what it. I don't know what it means, but no, nobody's going to that. I don't think. Doors open at 6. So could you imagine the undercard if that's the main event? Good God. I always
put it this way, Justin,
yeah.
Put it this way. If I was to put Texas Flange into Google tonight, yeah, I expect to see something alongside the Ebony Bridges pictures. That's all I'm saying, all right?
Texas Flange. Doesn't even pop up.
You don't want to know, Justin. I love a spelling mistake on a poster. Super Bantamweight, and they are, Rob, East Loop Chiropractic. You can phone 713 Bad Back if you want to get in touch with the chiropractic there.
You always wonder when you see cars like this.
Big logo on the flyer here. I think this is right up Maddie's street.
Yeah, the waste of money people have. People just have money to burn because if you could actually pay for that.
We love a bit of Texas Flange, right, boys? Let's suck it off the evening.
Sorry, Steve. Can I throw in? Can I throw in a non value of the week if that's all right?
You certainly can.
I'm gonna have to like unfollow Josh Taylor soon because it's getting absurd. Like it really is getting weird.
What's going on?
Like anything that's, I don't know. He just loves anything that's like antivirus or anything that's UFO or anything that's I don't know. It's just like it's getting weird now. It's like. And I used to really obviously I've seen Josh Taylor live plenty of times, but it's just getting weird now. Like, spend more time in the gym getting ready for a fight and stop fucking liking all these like weird videos about there's definitely aliens in space.
Oh, is he into the conspiracy theories? I'm gonna have to start following him, Rob, man.
Mate, it's too much. It's too much. He loves the conspiracy theory. It's getting weird, man. It's getting weird. Like, it really is.
Well, listen, just because he's paranoid doesn't mean they're not trying to kill him. Here's one of his likes. I'm just on it at the moment. One of his likes are, my pronouns are conspiracy theorists were right.
Here, if you want to follow a conspiracy series, Jamie and Michael Conlon's mom, Teresa Conlon, she hasn't heard a conspiracy theory that she doesn't like yet. Rob, man, you need to get on that one.
Brilliant. Yeah, I need to get on that. Yeah. We need Anthony Crolla on the case with some evidence-based investigations.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. That is the perfect thing to play, I said. I'm going to play that one out on this Thursday evening. I'm going to put it up on the Sunday as well, so the unwashed masses can have a listen as well. Thank you to everybody who's been on with us tonight. Rapping Rob Kelly, flying in from UFO Central. Danny Young's here as well. Justin, the North Carolina assassin. Shout out to Michael Thompson. Mikey T's been on with us as well. And so has our head of the Prediction League, Joe Kennedy. Thank you for following us during the year. We appreciate you all. It's going to be a great 2023 between myself, Matty, Andy, Ozzy, Smido, Rob, everybody who comes on every week. Thank you very much. We'll play you out with Anthony Crolla. We love you all. My voice is going. Bye.
Today, I am delighted to be joined by former lightweight world champion Anthony Crolla. How are you?
Before we start, I would like to point out why I have made yet another Madeleine McCann film. It is to expose the mainstream media and show to the widest possible audience that their purpose is not to find out facts, investigate stories, then truthfully report them. The mainstream media are used on a daily basis across all publications by an elite few for a range of nefarious purposes. Mainstream media publications are no more than information prostitutes who serve those with enough money or power to help them with their disgusting agendas.